The Young and the Restless spoilers. Next 2 week, full July 20 to 31. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful sunny Wednesday, but things in Genoa City are absolutely dark, messy, and totally chaotic as usual. We have so much to unpack today, and honestly, my head is spinning from all the drama. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's just dive right into this madness because I have a lot of thoughts, feelings, and frankly, a few rants about what is going down with the Newmans right now. And let's just start right off with Nick and Sharon because, honestly, these two are giving me absolute whiplash lately. So, at the end of the week, we get this really intense, heavy sit-down between them. Nick is just pacing around the room, totally stressed out, rubbing his face, and he tells Sharon that Nikki's eye bandages are coming off tomorrow. And you can just see the absolute panic in his eyes. He admits to Sharon that he is actually way more nervous about it than Nikki is. Because Nikki has been acting super calm, like she's got it all under control. But let's be real, you guys. We all know Nikki is probably terrified on the inside. But Nick is just wearing his anxiety on his sleeve, and he's projecting all of this nervous energy everywhere he goes. But Sharon, being the absolute queen that she is, she completely pivots the conversation. She doesn't just feed into his panic about Nikki and let him spiral out of control. Instead, she looks right at him and tells him that what she really wants is for him to focus on his own recovery. She wants him to focus on his sobriety and keeping himself clean. And honestly, I love this from Sharon. She knows exactly how fragile Nick is right now, especially with all the drug stuff that happened in Vegas and the fentanyl and everything Matt Clark put him through. She knows he is just one bad day away from a total relapse, and she is trying to ground him before he falls off the wagon completely. And then she does something that actually surprised me. She brings up her own mental health. Sharon talks to him about how she has to fight her bipolar disorder every single day. She reminds him that it's a daily battle, just like his addiction is going to be. And it was just, wow. It was a really beautiful, grounded moment. Sometimes the writers totally forget these characters' histories, but bringing up Sharon's bipolar disorder was such a smart move. It made the scene feel so real and earned. But of course, Nick kind of brushes past it because his brain is just totally fried right now and he can't focus on anything positive. So Sharon basically calls him out on his behavior. She tells him that she thinks he's actually worrying about something else, or rather, someone else, way more than he's worrying about his mom. And she is spot on, as usual. Nick finally admits that he is completely obsessing over Matt Clark. He says that Matt is just constantly in his head, haunting him like a ghost. And honestly, can you blame him? After everything Matt has done to their family, of course the guy is taking up rent-free space in Nick's brain. But it's getting to a point where it's super unhealthy and dangerous. Nick complains that Victor is claiming he has Matt completely under control now. Victor moved Matt to the ranch. Victor is keeping an eye on him. Victor thinks he's the puppet master, blah, blah, blah. But Nick isn't buying it for a single second. Nick just wants Matt gone permanently. And the way he said permanently gave me absolute chills. You can see the darkness just bubbling up inside of him. Okay, maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but you get what I mean. Nick is in a really bad headspace, and he's looking for a target to unleash all this pent-up rage on. So, speaking of Matt Clark, let's jump over to the Shadow Room. Because, of course, that's where the drama's going down. Matt is hanging out at Noah's new club, which is already a massive slap in the face to the Newman family, and he's talking to Sienna Bacall. And I just have to say, what is up with this dynamic? It is so weird. Matt is sitting there, supposedly doing all this deep reflection on his past and the horrible things he's done. And Sienna is just listening to him. Like, why is she even giving him the time of day after everything? But Sienna actually psychoanalyzes him a bit, which I wasn't expecting. She tells Matt that he has always wanted both admiration and fear from people, which is a pretty solid read on him, honestly. He wants to be the big bad villain, but he also wants people to respect him. But then she goes a step further and says that even if Matt is a terrible person, there are still some good things in him. And I'm just sitting here staring at my screen like, what? What were they thinking writing this? Who actually believes this is going to end well? Why is Sienna defending him or trying to find the good in a guy who is basically a walking nightmare for the Newman family? It feels like she's playing with fire and she's going to get burned. And of course, right at that exact moment, guess who walks into the shadow room? Yep, Nick and Sharon. Because Genoa City is apparently the size of a shoebox and everyone always runs into each other at the exact wrong time. So Nick and Sharon burst in and they immediately go on the attack. They start yelling at Matt, telling him to stop threatening Noah, which is hilarious because Matt literally wasn't doing anything to Noah in that moment. He was just having a weird, quiet therapy session with Sienna. But Nick is just so blinded by his rage that he doesn't even care what the reality of the situation is. He just wants to scream at Matt. Nick tells Matt that he has absolutely no right to demand forgiveness from anyone. And you know what? That is completely fair. Matt doesn't deserve forgiveness after the hell he put them through. But the whole confrontation is just so messy and loud. Nick is completely out of control. And Sharon is standing there trying to back him up, but also looking like she's realizing how unhinged Nick is acting in public. And Matt's reaction is actually what surprised me the most out of this whole scene. He doesn't scream back. He doesn't get violent. He just looks at Nick and says that it's all useless. And then he drops this super eerie warning. He tells Nick that he should leave town before Victor buries him. And then Matt just walks out. Like, boom. Mic drop. And I'm just sitting here thinking, what does Matt know? Is he talking about Victor burying Nick figuratively, like destroying his life? Or is there some other plot going on? It was such a weird, cryptic thing to say, and it just left Nick standing there fuming and confused. So Matt leaves, and Nick and Sharon are left alone in the shadow room. And this is where things get really, really dark. Nick turns to Sharon and tells her that he is going to handle the Matt situation. And the look in his eyes, it was terrifying. Sharon immediately picks up on it. She tells Nick that he is actually starting to scare her a little bit. And she brings up the fact that Nick just said he was going to make sure Matt is gone permanently. Sharon looks at him practically begging and says, "Tell me that doesn't mean what I think it means. Because let's be real, you guys. Nick is making straight-up death threats right now. He is heavily implying that he is going to murder Matt Clark." And Sharon is panicking. Because it's one thing to hate a guy, but it's a whole other thing to plot a murder in the middle of your son's nightclub. Matt might be worried that Victor is going to kill him, but honestly, I think Matt needs to be way more worried about Nick right now. Nick has nothing left to lose in his mind. And the worst part about all of this is the addiction angle. The fans on social media have been pointing this out all week, and I totally agree with them. The temptation to kill Matt, the stress of holding on to all this violent rage, it is exactly the kind of trigger that is going to push Nick right back into popping pills. He is substituting one addiction for another. Instead of getting high on drugs, he's getting high on the idea of revenge and murder. And it is going to destroy him if Sharon can't pull him back from the ledge. I am so worried for him. But okay, let's take a breath and switch gears. Because the other big thing that happened this week was with Victor and Nikki. And I have to admit, it was actually kind of sweet, which is rare for them lately. So Nikki is walking around the new ranch, and she's counting her steps. And get this, she's walking without her cane. Even on the stairs. I mean, seriously, what is going on with the medical timelines on this show? 1 minute, she's totally helpless, and the next she's practically doing cardio on the staircase. It's so clunky, but whatever, we roll with it because it's a soap opera. So Victor comes over and helps her down the rest of the stairs. And Nikki gets a little defensive, saying she needs to know she can manage on her own, but she admits she understands everyone just wants to help her. So Victor leads her over to the sofa, and he tells her that he knows she can do anything. And it was just really sweet. He gets her a blanket, he tucks her in, and he softly asks if she's nervous about getting the bandages off tomorrow. It was one of those rare moments where you remember why these two have been together for decades. They really do love each other, deep down. Nikki tells him that she is just trying to prepare herself for every possible outcome, including a really bad one. She is terrified that her sight isn't going to come back, or that it might even be completely gone forever. And she confesses to Victor that she just doesn't want to feel defeated, no matter what the doctors say. It was such a vulnerable moment for her. You could really feel her fear and her exhaustion. And Victor is just sitting there, being her rock, telling her that she is safe and that he's got her. But then, because this is The Young and the Restless, and we can't have nice things for more than 5 minutes, the mood totally shifts. Nikki looks at him and says she misses them. She asks if he is finally ready to talk about their future. Victor tries to dodge it by just reassuring her she's safe, but Nikki isn't letting him off the hook that easily. She tells him that she is madder at him than she has ever been. And then she drops the absolute ultimate question on him. She asks Victor if his hatred for Jack Abbott is stronger than his love for her. And, oh my God, the silence was deafening. Because we all know the answer to that. I mean, I can answer that for you, Nikki. Yes. Yes. His hatred for Jack is absolutely stronger. Victor will literally burn the world down just to mildly inconvenience Jack Abbott. And the fact that Nikki is finally forcing him to confront that reality right before her bandages come off is just peak soap opera drama. I am so stressed out for next week, you guys. I need a nap. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.